Okay, good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Because I don't know when will you visit this video presentation. I would like to invite you once again for another opportunity for us to be sharing with each other. Okay, so we'll be talking about with the topic you say more than you think. Say more than you think. Okay, so I'm back once again for this wonderful presentation. Our objectives. The first one, we have to evaluate multimodal text critically to enhance receptive listening, reading, and viewing skills. We have also, second one, convey ideas through oral, audiovisual, or web-based presentation for different target audiences in local and global settings using appropriate registers. And then the third one, adopt awareness of audience and context in conveying messages. And the last one, show appreciation and acceptance of different cultures. Okay, so we'll be concentrating on the message. We have already established in the previous chapter the fact that there is more to what we say than meets the eye. With culture, business, and language interplaying with one another. The extent by which we can stretch the impact of language points us to differing directions. In this chapter, we are going to focus on the specificity, or at least what we perceive to be specific in the messages we put out for everyone to understand and interpret, like the discussion in the previous chapters, the context in which you, the students involved in purposive communication, become embroiled in the world of work. So let us begin by looking at some of the images and what messages some business organizations have passed on to the world consumers. Okay, the first one. So what can you see in the picture? So it's all about a picture of Nivea. So this print advertisement features a better groomed black man about to throw into the air an image of his old self across a football field. So this image elicited a deluge of negative comments, mainly focused on how the ad promises users of Nivea to be a civilized version of a black man who shouldn't sport the afro hairstyle. If you do not have an afro, this ad means differently to you, but the fact remains that a large population of black men have naturally curly or afro hair, and that this ad undermines them. This ad was pulled out in no time after generating wild negative buzz. Okay, civilized. The next one was thought of a simple message of making dark chocolate relevant to the times has been dubbed to be condescending by no less than the supermodel alluded to in this ad, Naomi Campbell. So Naomi Campbell added by saying, "It's upsetting to be described as chocolate, not just for me, but for all Black women and Black people. I do not find any humor in this. It is insulting and hurtful." Cadbury pulled out the advertisement and apologized profusely to the Black community and Miss Campbell for having inadvertently undermining them with this ad. The third one, Intel. It did not take long for this image from Intel to annoy those who identify this ad, albeit subtly, to slavery. This image was particularly worrisome for certain organizations fighting slavery trade in the industries. One other message attributed to this image is the commodification of Black bodies. Intel later apologized for its insensitivity and the insult this advertisement generated among the general public, especially to the Black community. Okay. So this is an insult for the Black people once again. Okay, this is a picture of Lakshmi, an Indian goddess of wealth who appears to fancy eating beef burgers. This is for obvious reasons forbidden under Hindu religion. This depiction provoked widespread of displeasure to the point of anger with its suggestion that the deity eats beef. So Burger King, the owner of this ad, quickly withdrew the advertisement and issued an apology to Hindu leaders all over the world. How about this? Where do lost chopsticks go? So this ad was posted by its manufacturer, Pfizer, to Facebook, to which users are allowed to comment. However, way they can, in the end, Pfizer was compelled to apologize to Facebook for having attracted comments like, after looking at this pic, I know where I want to hide my chopstick. So Pfizer ended up discontinuing the offensive advertisement and promised to comply with Facebook guidelines and remove posts that use foul language and are menacing to fans and employees. This is another one about that. So you could see from Black woman to a white woman, American woman. So by just using the Dove product. So this is a very wonderful illustration, but it degrades humanity and race. Okay. So this is a very wonderful, but yet insulting one. So figures 1.5 clearly demonstrate the emergence of a global village emphasized with the smart technology. UNPFA 2013 clarifies that indeed there exists the realities and social cultural assets of societies. Second, the influential power structures and pressure groups that can be potential allies or adversaries to management, and the internal cultural tensions and aspiration of subculture. How do you then, as a would-be professional, deal with diverse culture in the business world? Trompenaars in Hampden, 1997. There are dimensions to recognizing cultural diversity. Duanmo and Gapper, 2009, underscored changes. The first one is universalism versus particularism. So universalistic culture, people adhere to general rules, codes, values, and obligations. Particularistic people make judgments according to their relationships. For universalistic means they are being bounded universally by rules, codes, values, and obligation. But for particularistic people, they value and make judgment based from their relationships. So another thing about universalistic and particularistic, in international business, particularistic culture values relationships, basis of bending rules and regulations of a business organization. In universalistic culture, they puts less emphasis on personalities and culture to which they submit. So either who you are or whatever your power or whoever you are bound to rules and you're bound to follow rules in universalistic. Okay. Second one is individualism versus collectivism. So individualistic culture puts emphasis on the individual's wants, happiness, fulfillment, initiative, and welfare above those of the communities. While collectivism decides for the greater good and values what works for the community, undermining personal wants and desire. So individualistic, it is more on individual wants, happiness, fulfillment, etc. But in collectivism, they decide for a greater good. It means that you you are pro people. You value the group rather than yourself. It means that you you're able to to give way to the totality of the community rather than yourself, or you become unselfish. Number three, specific versus diffuse. Specific culture is a man who considers his work a place where he functions as an individual. Diffuse culture, on the other hand, encourages relationship and camaraderie among co-workers. For future professional, should be a deal. You need to deal, you need to choose, you need to determine, you need to balance. Okay, whether you are in specific or diffuse, or it depends to the situation. You can be specific sometimes, but when it calls for a collaborative work, you may become diffuse culture. So it's all of you, it's all about you who will take the role later on. For number four, achievement versus ascription. For achievement, they value education, ability, success in chosen career, competition. And while in ascription, okay, they mentioned about the attainment of one status, sorry. For ascription, it is more on social connections, age, gender, and origin, as well as religion. Okay. For achievement, those things that you achieve. For ascription, it is more on your relationship. You value the age, the origin, the status of an individual, his or her religion, origin, something like that. But for achievement, it's more on individualistic or selfish desires. Okay, another thing. Okay, in business context, achievement, they value more on work performance, while in ascription, it's a natural admiration. It's the loyalty. It's the challenge. It's the loyalty. And for the challenge, you should strike balance. Okay. And you can be competitive if the situation calls for it, but you should be targeting your admirable qualities, and that you can enjoy the benefits of both dimensions. And number five, neutral versus effective. Neutral culture, people make an effort to conceal their feelings or thought. So, in other words, it is guarded and controlled, while ineffective, wear their heart on their sleeves. It means spend time at work with laughter, expression of displeasure or happiness, bold gestures, and dramatic nonverbal expression. So it depends on your personality traits, okay? Because sometimes we become self-absorbed. It means we do not let others feel what we feel. That's in neutral. Well, for effective, it's more on your it's more on your expression, or you're expressive about what you have and what you feel. And for six, time orientation, or we have the sequential versus synchronic. Okay, sequential type, if you think that there is a time and place for everything to be done. Okay, it's like in Ecclesiastes 3 verse 1 that there is time for everything. But for synchronic, you connect the past and the future, but you do not focus on one or the other with which the two take place. So note, we should be fluid in achieving goals. So what's the characteristic of fluid or liquid? So it goes with the flow. So whatever gonna happen, you should go with the flow. Okay, and number 7, inner directed orientation versus outer directed orientation. So IDO, so inner directed orientation, thrives on people making a conscious effort of controlling the environment where they are in. It allows its people to have okay. Allows people to have, I'll just want to search for it. Okay. So ODO or outer directed believes in the domination of nature over mankind. People should look into the challenges of nature. So IDO, it's more on yourself or you controlling the environment, while the outer directed orientation, the nature controls you or the nature dictates your future. Okay, so in business, ODO or outer directed orientation, they dictate consumers' need and play up those needs. While in, okay, another thing is ODO, if you be an employer, you're expected that you have the ability to innovate and it's expected also that companies that responds to trends. So in US, they introduced the term melting pot. So this term encourages assimilation and being American as the mainstream culture. A differing culture loses itself to what is considered American. Then we have the cultural pluralism, focuses on a diverse population of cultures interacting with one another to form a society. Example, since Marawi City is still under siege. Oh, no. That is not an example. Okay, another thing for cultural pluralism, authored by Horace M. Callan and Gunnar Myrdal, Tamotse Shibutani, Kian M. Kwan, Milton M. Gordon, Robert Blonner, Albert Memmi. So they are the proponents of, they recognize cultural pluralism. According to Peggy R. Sunday, defined as existing in any society where there is more than one style dimensions, where there is more than one set of culture themes, information components, and behavioral styles sanctioned in society. Cultural pluralism in the thought of Stan Hazard and Rivlin in 1973. It is a state of equal coexistence in a mutually supportive relationship within the boundaries of framework of one nation of people of diverse culture with significantly differing patterns of belief, behavior, color, and in many cases with different languages. In conclusion, Bennett and Hammer 1998 says, assert that the more experiences a person has for cultural differences, the more that he will develop intercultural competence. Okay, the more that you are experiencing things, then the more you'll be adaptable. Okay, this competence is necessary in working for intercultural relations and in attaining effectiveness when working across cultures. Okay, so that will be all for this time. And I hope that we have learned many things really for this session. God bless and have a good day.